गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं यत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Welcome friends to this special system of education which Mission R.K. International is developing. Instead of the knowledge-based education which deals with the concrete mind, Mission R.K. wants a wisdom-based education which Aurobindo called as the integral yoga and Pujya Gurudev called it as Prajna yoga. In this particular type of wisdom education, the main aspect is not studying books. It is studying life. It is the art of living. And that is why every teacher worth his salt says that his life is the message. Follow my life. One of the greatest and foremost examples where life itself is a living example of wisdom, knowledge, is the life of Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo, at the time of his message when India got its independence, said that his date of birth, August 15th, and India's Independence Day, August 15th, being one and the same is not a coincidence, but it is destiny. All of you who are hearing this, please remember these words of Aurobindo. He said August 15th was the Independence Day because his date of birth was August 15th. In other words, had he been born on some other day, say March 5th, then India would have got its independence on March 5th. This approach to Aurobindo's life must be clearly borne in mind. And another factor when we read and study the life of Aurobindo as an example of integral yoga, the Prajna yoga of our Gurudev, the integral yoga and the Purna yoga, we should always remember the recurring of number 7. Aurobindo's life can be divided into a period of first 21 years as that of Tamas, and then the next 14 years as the period of Rajas, and the last 42 years as the period of Sattva. This we can conclude and reach to this conclusion because of his own sayings. When his father wanted him to read only English, he never wanted his sons to know even the alphabets of Bengali literature or language. He wanted them to go to the convent, the British educational institution, then at Darjeeling. Sri Aurobindo records that when he was in the school, he felt a great dark cloud covering him. And this intensified when he went to England. And throughout his life in England, till his 21st year, that is 1893, this dark cloud was a part of his life. When he came back to India and he saw the shores of India, his motherland, suddenly he found that the darkness is melting away, and a great vision and light dawned on him. And he says that for a few months he was in that light. So this aspect of our education, and our educators must remember that this English education is a tamasic education. The life of Aurobindo is a proof that other than Sanskrit and the divine language, all other languages are tamasic in nature. And one more interesting fact which I would like to draw attention is that around the age of 12, Aurobindo had a feeling that he was very selfish. That he was very, very selfish, and some inner power prompted him to be unselfish. And from that moment onwards, he tried to be unselfish to the core. From the life of Aurobindo, even though I cannot give you a chronological aspect, but I will certainly give you a way of life which all of us should follow, especially those who are born in India, the Indians. Aurobindo always used to say about 3 madnesses which he had. And anyone who wants to follow the life of Aurobindo, anyone who wants to understand the role of integral yoga in building a new world era, should know these 3 madnesses must become an integral part of their life. The first madness is regarding money. Aurobindo always used to say that he always used to spend minimum for his wants, and all the money is a trust of God for the workings of the God. So this is the aspect of money which we should have if you want to understand Aurobindo in his true sense. Or we, again I repeat, the basic approach towards the integral yoga, the prajna yoga, the wisdom knowledge is our approach towards money. If you are materialistic, tamasic in nature, and if you think that money is everything, you forget about the integral yoga and the wisdom knowledge. You should re-educate yourself about the value of money, minimum to you and maximum to others. The second madness of Aurobindo was, if there is a God, I should face him, I should talk to him. He should be the guiding pole star of my life. This must be the approach of the wisdom mongers. Many people wanted to change the education system, but the present education system is not allowing us to understand God or wisdom. Both are synonymous. God in action is wisdom. Therefore, the other madness of Aurobindo was that he has to face God face to face, talk with him, and surrender himself to the guidelines as God wants him to live. And the third madness, and the most important madness which our education now lacks, is the feeling of India as a mother. Our entire political struggle for freedom was based on that momentous slogan, Vande Mataram. But now, even though we have celebrated the centenary of Vande Mataram, unfortunately, we just forget that India is not a piece of land surrounded by Himalayas on the northern side and by the waters of ocean on the other 3 sides. We just take it as a piece of land And we never think that it is the mother which nurtures us. And it is a part of Mother Earth. So when Aurobindo thought and had this madness in him for Mother India, it was as a part of Mother Earth, as the head of Mother Earth. These are the three approaches which, first of all, those who want to understand the yoga of Aurobindo should develop in them first. The first, his orientation towards money, minimum to himself, maximum to the world. The money is a trust given to him. The second, God exists. And if God exists, your only approach towards life must be your personal efforts to realize God in this very life. Come face to face and then decide as He guides your life. And next, let India again be the Jagat Guru. Let India understand its role as a Jagat Guru. Its Sanatana Dharma must be the guiding principle for the whole world in the coming years. And later, I will tell you why these 4 years, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, are the most important years for humanity as well as planet Earth. When we call it Sanatana Dharma or Hindu Dharma, let us be very clear what Aurobindo meant by this. He is not extolling a particular piece of land or a particular sect of people who lived in a particular geographical area. What he meant by the term is, just as when we call Newton's laws in physics, we never mean that the laws are Newton's laws. We don't mean by saying Newton's laws that Newton was the originator of those laws. It only means that Newton was the first to see those laws in nature and understood how to apply it. Similarly, in all scientific theories, whether you call it Dalton's theory or Einstein's equation or Mendeleev's periodic law, the name only indicates that they were the first to understand those theories and laws. Similarly, when we talk about Hinduism, when we talk of Sanatana Dharma, it only means that it was Hindus who first understood this evolutionary law of nature, these laws of life. There is nothing Hindu in it but the laws of life, the laws of evolution, and the approach towards it, which we call as yoga in India, is universal in its application. Evolution is not meant only to Hindus or to a particular sect of people, but it belongs to the minerals, to the trees and plant kingdom, to the animals, and humanity, who is supposed to be the greatest evolutionary product in nature now, and later also to the future evolution into a supramental race. This is what Aurobindo meant when Hinduism, the Sanatana Dharma, is going to rule the world, because it is the only perfect understanding of the laws of evolution, the laws of nature, and the process of developing consciousness. With this in mind, we should understand the first 21 years of Aurobindo as a period of understanding the Western materialistic outlook of life. The 3 into 7, 21, is a very mystic number where the physical development, the emotional development, and the mental development of Aurobindo was controlled by the materialistic evolutionary aspects as it was then. After that, when Aurobindo came to India, rejecting the post of ICS, we have a very peculiar situation. It was the year when Vivekananda went to America, and on September 11th, 1893, he gave his famous Chicago address calling the brothers and sisters of America. And it was the year when the westernized, Tamasic educated Aurobindo came to India. So it is almost as the East sending its ambassador to the West and the West sending its ambassador to the East. And very specifically, the life of Aurobindo shows that it is a great tamas, a great darkness which is covering the modern educational system, especially based on the English-oriented system. I am not here criticizing a language. I am criticizing the approach towards knowledge which that particular language is insisting now. I hope you understand the difference. I am not here criticizing the English language, because later in his life, in Savitri, Aurobindo has molded that language to the level of Sanskrit. He structured the English words and sentences in such a way that they are as good as the Vedic chandas, meters, mantras, the rigs of the Veda. So it is not the language which is important. What I am trying to make you understand is, it is the English medium which is to be rejected, not the language. Why? Because the English medium insists on materialistic knowledge. It does not know the existence of an intuitive knowledge. It does not know or cater to the needs of the mind. Here again, I would like to make you understand the various levels of mind to which Aurobindo approached. And wherever he rose to a higher mental levels, he has to redraw his Savitri, rewrite his Savitri, the epic and the legend in such a way that the various levels of consciousness of mind were filtered and fixed into the metric style of English language, the Vedic language. Let us understand first the 5 mental levels. According to Aurobindo, a man has a higher mind, an illumined mind, an intuitive mind, an overmind, and of course, the most well-known word, supermind. I will come back to this later, but let me go back again to the Rajasic nature of Aurobindo. From 1983 to 1907, he was very much in the activities of the then Indian atmosphere. Especially, he was a great revolutionary, and Britishers dubbed him as the single most dangerous man in India. They were so much afraid of his approach towards the revolutionary nature in molding the minds of the then youth. This particular approach of Aurobindo, this particular 14-year period of Aurobindo, is what we can call the Rajasic nature. A soul coming out of its cocoons, coming out of tamas, searching for a goal. And when Aurobindo was arrested, first thought that arose in his mind was, why God, you have made me a tool for such a situation. God said, wait and see. After 3 days in the jail, Aurobindo remembered that a few days back he had a feeling that he should quit these revolutionary activities, this political activity. This is the starting point. Completely engross himself in yogic methodology and training. But he records later that he was so egoistic, he was so rajasic in nature, that he felt that without him, India cannot get independence. And when again the inner intuition, not the concrete mind, not the knowledge-based mind, but the intuitive mind suggested him to stop his political activities, he said, let me see for 2 or 3 more years and then think. And he was arrested. The 1 year of Aurobindo, 1908 to 1909, even though for external viewpoint was a very bad period. He has to live in seclusion. But after 1 year, he really understood that it was the Alipur ashram and not the jail. This again gives us a very important message that for Aurobindo, the 1 year jail period in seclusion, where he has to live in a room 9 by 5, where he has to bathe there, answer his nature's call, eat and sleep, was an ashram for him. Can you understand what it means? It means that whatever may be the situation in your life, it cannot be worse than what Aurobindo faced. And the most important thing is that in that particular 1 year period, Aurobindo came face to face with God. He understood his destiny and he had very mystic and occult experiences. Let me share with you some of those experiences, because this is what we have to gain until we ourselves find our destiny and purpose of life. Again, you understand this sentence. First of all, we will have to negate the tamasic approach. And the most tamasic approach is acquiring money. So the first and foremost aspects of understanding the divine and intuitive knowledge is that money for you is only a tool. You should always use it to the minimum, and you should take it as a trust given by Providence to use it for the development of others. This particular approach to money can be understood by the old saying as plain living and high thinking. This is what, first of all, those who want to change the world, those of us who are Mission R.K. members, those of us who want to be called as spiritualists and sadhakas, they should understand that not only money, but their approach towards sadhana also must change. They should not be selfish and think that they are working for their own liberation, developing into higher and higher levels of consciousness, feeling proud that they are separate from the humanity. But they should know that the entire sadhana they are doing, the spiritual practices they are doing, is for the upliftment of the world and not for himself. Keeping this in mind, I come to the Rajasic aspect is mainly to search for the purpose of life. First, Aurobindo started as an educationist, later as a revolutionist and a man who was interested in developing the desire in the Indian public to get freedom. This particular approach of 14 years, that is from his 21st year to his 14th year, that is for his 35th year, can be known as the search for the goal. And from his example, we can also understand that many times we are given an opportunity and guidance. And just as Aurobindo missed the call, we may be also missing the call. And these words which you are hearing may be the call from the divine. It is so silent in its approach towards us that we always miss the bus. Whenever God approaches us, we will be looking somewhere else. So maybe this particular words which you are hearing is the intuitional call which you are hearing through the life of Aurobindo. Don't miss it. And when I say don't miss it, don't miss the two approaches to life. One is about the money and the other is for the goal. After his Alipur experiences in jail, the first and foremost thing that Aurobindo thought was, let me search the truth of the yogic sadhanas. He was not at all interested in yoga as a self-development process to become a great yogi, a great philosopher, or a great saint. His approach towards yoga is, can it be of any help for humanity, especially for getting independence to India. In Alipur jail, he understood that instead of all these revolutions and freedom fighters organizing themselves into various segments and fighting for the cause, yoga can give a true means, a direct approach to fight for the cause. In this way, he started his yoga, reading Upanishads and Gita, and doing some pranayamas. And one day he found that when he was thinking that in yoga books it is written that man can levitate, he found himself rising from the ground. Can you understand what it means? It means that there is a state of mind which gives what you think immediately. What you think becomes a truth. What you think becomes a fact, not an imagination, and you have to do nothing except to reach that state of mind. This state of mind, according to the yogic literature, and the name given by Aurobindo, belongs to the higher mind and the illumined mind. The higher mind and illumined mind somewhat synchronize themselves. Sometimes the illumined mind comes down to the higher mind, and sometimes the higher mind reaches the illumined mind. This state of yogic consciousness, Aurobindo found, gives a very great illuminating factor that the entire world is Vasudeva. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. There he says that he used to send some notes to his lawyer about some aspects of the court trial, saying that some were correct and some were wrong. But when he came to this illumined mind level, he found that he need not give any guidance to his lawyer, because he found that the boss of his jail were Vasudeva. The sentry was Vasudeva. The other people who were jailed, the murderers, the smugglers, the rowdies, were also Vasudeva. He saw that the judge was also Vasudeva. And he found that the people who came to see the trial were also Vasudeva. And then he heard the calm, assuring voice. Now do you feel that I have left you? Don't you think that I am caring for you? With this understanding, he came to the conclusion that he is in very safe hands. Every step of his is being guided by Vasudeva. And then for 15 to 16 days, he heard the voice of Vivekananda. This comes from the intuitional mind, and sometimes from the overmind also, where Vivekananda guided him, not using the words supermind, but giving him various hints in his sadhanas. And before that, when he was in Baroda, he was trained in making his mind still by a specific pranayama given by Lele, a Maharashtrian yogi. So, before Aurobindo really started his yoga sadhanas at Pondicherry, he has already reached the various levels of yoga siddhis. He has a still mind, which many yogic practitioners aspire. Then he has the higher mind and illumined mind guiding him to the statement that it is the God which ordains the fate of every individual and also the nation. And he got a very clear-cut vision that India's freedom has been given by Lord Krishna already. It is only the time which is important. When A.B. Purani was asking Aurobindo later in his ashram, Aurobindo said that he can assure that India is already free, and Purani can take up yogic practices without any feeling that he has not done his duty by not practicing the revolutionary measures and participating in freedom struggle. This particular approach of Aurobindo in the Alipur jail for 1 year is also important because when he came out of Alipur jail, he found that people have forgotten the slogan Vande Mataram. It is almost as if the Indians have forgotten this slogan. And he said, whatever may be the cause, I have understood that India has a role, and its role is as the world teacher, as giving the intuitive knowledge or the yogic culture to humanity. With this in mind, he set off to Pondicherry. Many miracles happened, and at many instances, he was miraculously saved by the divine providence for reaching Pondicherry. After reaching Pondicherry, Aurobindo started his yogic sadhanas in right earnest. And as usual, money was the problem. He was always, from our point of view, poor. But with indomitable spirit, he continued his yogic sadhanas, transcended layer and layer of mental levels, and finally the much coveted Siddhi day came on 24th November 1926. This is the day when the overmind, or the area where God's rule, especially for us where Krishna's consciousness is established, has come down to planet Earth. This particular Siddhi day is very important in many ways because the date was 24 and the people, the sadhakas who were present, were also 24 in number. And one of the foremost exponents of Sri Aurobindo's integral yoga, my Gurudev, Pujya Sri Ram Sharma Acharya, also utilized that 24-syllabled Gayatri mantra. These aspects we should understand that what exactly happened in 1926 is the overmind entered the planet Earth. The overmind plane entered the planet Earth and is now available to all seekers. Try to understand the difference between the plane and individual consciousness. Overmind is a plane reaching the frontiers of the world. Intuitive mind is a plane. Illumined mind is a plane. Higher mind is a plane. It is a vast vista of consciousness. And the individual higher, illumined, intuitive, overminds are part of the great planes. Just as we are all living in the physical plane, it is a vast empire of physical nature. But we as individual physical beings can understand only a part of it. So on the Siddhi day, the overmind plane could be approached by individual minds. Can you understand what I am trying to tell? Before Aurobindo's sadhana, till exactly 24th November 1926, overmind was not available to common man. Only with great sadhana, with great patience and perseverance, can a sadhaka enter into the plane of overmind. But because of Aurobindo's sadhana, the overmind came into the reach of any man who wants to pursue the sadhana. Just as after Newton found the laws of nature, especially the laws of nature, anyone who is willing to train his mind according to the laws can become the possessor of the Newton's laws. Similarly, by the hard work of Aurobindo, the overmind or the kingdom of gods came to the easy reach of the common man. If he can persist and persevere, as Siddhi Sai says, if he has the Shraddha and Saburi, the overmind is at his reach, if he can just follow the rules as given by Aurobindo. But exactly reaching of overmind was not Aurobindo's intention. Slowly and steadily, he was becoming aware that there is a supermind which inspires the lower mind. The four states of mind, especially the higher mind, the illumined mind, the intuitive mind, and the overmind. Here again, we should remember that always the higher level controls the lower level. This is the universal law. The physical plane is controlled by our emotions. The emotions are controlled by our mind. The higher mind is controlled by illumined mind. The illumined mind is controlled by intuitive mind. The intuitive mind is controlled by our mind. All these states of mind can be controlled by truth consciousness, which is mentioned in the Vedas, but the approach towards the truth consciousness was never given a clear outline, was for the first time for humanity given by Sri Aurobindo, calling the truth consciousness as the supermind. This truth consciousness was already found to be existing, even though the approach was not very clear, when we have in our national way of thinking, Satyameva Jayate. Satya here means the truth consciousness. It is not the physical aspect of always speaking the truth. It is the real truth consciousness which makes what you think become a reality. So Aurobindo envisages a period of time on earth where through the approach of the overmind, through Lord Krishna's approach towards overmind as given in Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha. Aurobindo's integral yoga. What Gita shows as the final approach towards life. Nashto moha smrutir labdhva tat prasadat mayachyuta sthitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. This must be the integral approach towards life for every human being. This is what Aurobindo meant by his integral yoga. It is not that after reaching that state you will say, I will do your work. But it is here and now at this present moment when you have to say, Lord, thy will be done. In every little thing, in every positive and negative aspects, in every success and failure, always remember that it is the truth consciousness, the supermind, which is guiding us. And this divine protection, even in the Pondicherry days, we can find in the life of Aurobindo. When a particular rowdy was given a charge to drive Aurobindo away from Pondicherry, we find that he himself has to run away from Pondicherry. Aurobindo even did not know that such an approach was being made. And then we find another instant when a police detective wanted to incriminate Aurobindo by creating a false evidence. Even that failed when before the magistrate come, the housemaid discovered the tin box in which the false evidence was kept, and it was taken to the magistrate. And magistrate understood the scheme of the devils, but he just came to Aurobindo and wondered about his simplicity and his knowledge of Greek and Latin. This type of help, This type of divine intervention we can find in our daily life when we surrender ourselves to the integral yoga, to the supermind. Anyadha sharanam nasti, tvameva sharanam mama must be our motto. We should always remember that ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogatshemam vahamyaham is the promise of the supermind. And this particular promise should be our guiding light, should be our motto. And Aurobindo says that for the practitioner of integral yoga, there can be no hard and fast rules. His inner voice, his divine inspirer, his guru, the inner guru must guide him. But before that can happen, we have to train ourselves in the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali. You just can't say that supermind will guide me. You should allow the supermind to guide you. And to guide, to be driven by supermind, the most important thing is that your nature must change. Your approach towards life must change. Your mental complexities must be broken down, and one should be so pliable that the supramental force which comes down to you can come to the physical level without any inhibition. Are we sure? When we say that we don't have any mental cobwebs, any emotional obstructions or physical handicaps which obstructs the flow of the super mind. For this you have to do a tremendous sadhana. And for this sadhana, the most important thing is you have to understand the rules and regulations of Patanjali Yoga Sutra and reach the various levels of samadhi before you can practice the integral yoga. This practice of integral yoga is not confined to Aurobindo alone. We find it in the life of Albert Einstein, where he could develop the latent powers of matter. If you can understand, it is the truth consciousness coming out of matter, the radioactivity. Unfortunately, Albert Einstein also couldn't finish his unified field theory. Similarly, we find this approach towards complete surrender to the supermind in Sri Ramana Maharshi, in his lifestyle, where he just wanted people to be still and know themselves. Knowing themselves means their physical, emotional, and mental approaches towards life must be still. I am giving these examples only to show that by the specific sadhana of Aurobindo, the entire world was affected. One more interesting thing which I want to share with you is how Aurobindo guided the world alone through the 2 wars. The yogic siddhis, the powers of the overmind and the intuitive mind can be utilized to control the destiny of nations. But before you can reach that state, you have to cross the intuitive levels of mind. This is one of the foremost examples in life where we find that in nature also, in the 2 world wars, the higher and illumined mind played their role in the different leaders at that time. The most important thing which I want to share with you all is the writing of Savitri by Sri Aurobindo. And before that, the writing of his two great books, The Synthesis of Yoga and The Life Divine. All these books were written simultaneously as a serial novel and not as a philosophical great theories and principles. Can you understand the beauty of this statement? The Synthesis of Yoga was serialized first, along with Life Divine, along with Secrets of Veda, along with his approach towards Gita, as a serialized 64-page magazine called Arya. It was written at that time first with the help of mother and her husband, and later we find that Aurobindo himself has to completely write all the 64 pages with different articles. This marathon feat, he said, he never used his mind. He said that mind was only the receiving agent. He said he never thought. The words automatically flowed. He has just to correct here and there a small grammatical or spelling mistakes. But when we come to Savitri, something happened. First of all, when he read the story of Savitri and Satyavan in Mahabharata, he was interested to give it to the public as a legend, as a story. But later, his intuition developed, his sadhana developed. He found that he has to rewrite the Savitri, and for him, Savitri has become not only a legend, but also a symbol of his sadhana. This, very interestingly, is divided into 12 books with 49 cantos. I hope you can understand the mystic and occult significance of these two numbers, 12 and 49. The most important aspect of Aurobindo is that he brought physical immortality a possibility. Here again this statement, Aurobindo was the first man on earth who could bring down physical immortality on planet Earth. Many people ask me, then why did Aurobindo leave his body? Again, I will bring you the significance of number 7 in Aurobindo's life. First 21 years in West, next 14 years in freedom struggle, and the next 49 years in molding the yoga supramental descent on planet Earth. And when he left his physical body, Mother said, very few can understand the great sacrifice Aurobindo has done. He left his body not because he wanted to leave the body at that time, but because he wanted to hasten the supramental descent onto the planet Earth in the subtle planes, especially the vital and mental planes, so that humanity can grab and grip and understand, instead of the knowledge-based education, the intuition-based education. What Aurobindo did for 49 years after his leaving the physical body, we can understand if you read the 49 cantos of Savitri. And then, that is, when he left his body in 1950, 49 years, it is 1999. From then onwards, for 6 and 7 years, it is the physical manipulation of matter, which we are now seeing as the boom in software engineering, where the entire world has become one, even though politicians don't accept it. We have the videos, the websites, the mobile phones, all because of the physical entering of the truth consciousness, supermind, into the planet Earth. Now, if we can understand the significance of the 7-year periods, this year 2007 is going to start the most important aspect of the Aurobindo Yoga, where the emotional and mental planes are being united to the supramental plane. And I hope by 2014 we will see the integral yoga of Aurobindo established on planet Earth. Jai Gurudev.